Every device you own is powered by a system he invented. Every wireless signal you use is built on principles he established. The man who actually built the foundation of the modern world died alone in a hotel room in New York with 4 cents to his name, the same amount he arrived with 60 years earlier, while the corporations built on his stolen work generated billions. His papers were seized by the FBI the night he died. Many of them have never been returned. This is not a story about a forgotten inventor. This is a story about what power does to the truth it cannot afford to let survive, about the specific and very human cost of being the person whose genius made the modern world possible, and whose existence the modern world's owners needed to make invisible. If you have ever been the Tesla in a room full of Edisons, write in the comments, "I built something they took." Hit the like button now, subscribe to Mindmasters Academy, and activate the bell. The story begins not with a laboratory, not with a patent. It begins with a lightning storm in Serbia in 1856. Tesla was born in 1856 in a small Serbian village during a lightning storm that the attending midwife called a bad omen. His mother called it a good one, and she was right in ways that neither of them could have anticipated. His mother, Juka, was largely self-educated, but possessed a memory so comprehensive she could recite entire books from memory, and a mechanical intuition so precise she built functional household tools from available materials. She gave Tesla something no institution could have given him, a model of a mind operating without external validation, building its own frameworks from available materials and measuring their value by whether they worked. Tesla himself described his perceptual experience as different from childhood, involuntary and extraordinarily vivid visual imagery, complete 3-dimensional mechanical visualizations that appeared with the precision of finished engineering drawings. He taught himself to complete entire design cycles in mental space before building anything physical. His formal education was inadequate to a mind already generating models that exceeded the curriculum. He did not complete his degree. He arrived eventually in America with a letter of introduction, 4 cents, and a mind carrying solutions to problems the most powerful electrical engineer in the Western world had been unable to solve. Tesla arrived at Edison's laboratory in New York in 1884, carrying a letter describing him as one of only 2 great men in the world. Edison hired him immediately. What Tesla found was impressive but technically limited. Edison's entire empire was built on direct current, which could only be transmitted approximately 1 mile from its generating station. Tesla had been thinking about alternating current for years. AC could travel vast distances at high voltage and be stepped down at the point of consumption, making wide area distribution economically rational. He brought these ideas to Edison, who dismissed them as impractical and told Tesla to focus on solving existing DC problems instead. Tesla did exactly that, and solved them with a comprehensiveness that Edison's own engineers had been unable to achieve for years. When the work was complete, Tesla asked for the $50,000 Edison had implied was promised. Edison told him it had been a joke. Tesla resigned the following day. The resignation was not impulsive. It was the considered response of a man who had just received complete information about the nature of the relationship he had been in. He went to work immediately, alone, on alternating current, on the future Edison had told him was impossible. By 1887, Edison understood that the technical argument against alternating current was lost. AC was demonstrably superior on every measure that mattered for wide-area electrical distribution. Rather than acknowledge this, he chose something else. He chose war. What followed was one of the most thoroughly documented misinformation campaigns in American industrial history. Edison's laboratory began publicly electrocuting animals with AC current in front of invited journalists, dogs, calves, horses, to associate alternating current with death in the public imagination. An elephant named Topsy was electrocuted at Coney Island, and the event was filmed for distribution. Edison's team assisted in developing the electric chair, specifically so that AC current would be associated with state execution. The chair's use was nicknamed being Westinghoused, designed to attach that association permanently to Tesla's commercial partner. The campaign failed. At the 1893 Chicago World's Fair, Tesla's AC system lit 100,000 bulbs simultaneously, and 27 million visitors saw the future. The war of currents was over. AC had won. The modern electrical grid was built on Tesla's system. Edison never acknowledged it. The history written afterward was shaped by the people who owned the infrastructure, and the infrastructure ran on Tesla's current, while his name was transferred elsewhere. J.P. Morgan's question, when he finally understood what Tesla was building at Wardenclyffe, was precise and devastating. If anyone anywhere can receive power from the air without a meter, where do I put the meter? The answer was nowhere. In 1901, Tesla began construction of a tower on Long Island designed not merely for wireless communication but for global wireless power transmission, free energy available to any person on Earth with a receiving device. Morgan had funded it, believing it was a communication system. When Tesla wrote honestly in 1903, describing the full scope, power transmitted globally, metering structurally impossible, existing electrical distribution infrastructure rendered obsolete, Morgan withdrew funding immediately. The letter of withdrawal was brief and final. Tesla wrote back multiple times with increasing urgency. Morgan never responded. Without Morgan's money and with Morgan's active discouragement of other investors, Tesla could not complete the tower. In 1915, the property was taken to pay hotel debts. In 1917, the tower was demolished, officially because German spies might use it, actually because the materials were worth more as scrap. The experiment was never completed. The question of whether free global power transmission was physically achievable remains unanswered, because the man who asked where he put the meter got his answer before the experiment could prove him wrong: the radio. The United States Supreme Court ruled in 1943 that Tesla's radio patents predated Marconi's and that Marconi's key patents were invalid. The ruling came 40 years too late. Marconi had already received the Nobel Prize, and the cultural fact of his invention was established beyond legal correction: the X-ray. Tesla was conducting shadowgraph experiments before Röntgen's 1895 announcement. His laboratory burned in March 1895, 8 months before Röntgen published, destroying all documentation. The fire was officially accidental. Remote control. Tesla demonstrated a radio-controlled boat at Madison Square Garden in 1898 to an audience that included military observers who immediately understood the weapon's implications. The military classified the demonstration rather than funding its development. Tesla received nothing. The Tesla turbine used boundary layer adhesion rather than blades, producing extraordinary efficiency. The patents were granted. The industrial infrastructure was organized around blade design and declined to reorganize. The turbine remained a patent. The pattern across the entire inventory is identical. A mind operating decades ahead of the institutional capacity to receive what it was producing in an economic environment organized around protecting existing investment rather than developing genuine possibility. Tesla died in room 3327 of the New Yorker Hotel on January 7, 1943. He was 86 years old. The maid had been told not to disturb him. For 2 days, she respected the sign. On the third day, she entered. He had been dead for some time. The cause was recorded as coronary thrombosis. Within hours of the discovery, Before his family was notified, before the hotel had processed the death, agents of the Office of Alien Property arrived and requested access to his room. Tesla had been an American citizen since 1891. The legal authority being applied did not straightforwardly cover American citizens. It was applied anyway because it was the available instrument for achieving an outcome someone had determined needed to happen quickly. Approximately 80 trunks of papers, notebooks, calculations and designs were removed. All of it, the complete record of decades of work, demonstrated and rewarded poorly, demonstrated and classified, existing only in notebooks and never demonstrated at all. The speed of the B arrival, hours, not days, suggests the seizure had been prepared before Tesla died and was waiting only for the event that would provide the legal pretext for executing it. The FBI's file on Nikola Tesla runs to hundreds of pages. Portions have been declassified and are available on the FBI's public records portal. They document the Bureau's monitoring of Tesla's public statements about the Teleforce, a directed energy weapon he claimed could destroy aircraft at hundreds of miles. Its communications with other agencies about the disposition of his papers and the coordination with the MIT scientist who examined the seized materials. Dr. John G. Trump, uncle of a future US president, conducted the examination under time pressure in a wartime context and concluded the papers contained nothing of immediate practical significance. The assessment was made without complete access to the full body of work by a scientist whose specific expertise did not cover all of Tesla's most advanced theoretical areas under the institutional pressure of an agency that needed a determination rather than a comprehensive analysis. A portion of the papers was returned. A portion was not returned. The gap between what was taken and what came back is documented. What filled the gap is not. The question of what was in the unaccounted papers cannot be answered from the public record. It can only be asked. You are watching this video on a device powered by his system. The signal that delivered this video travels on principles he established. The world you inhabit was built on foundations that his mind produced, and that the official story of the modern world spent a century attributing elsewhere. This is the specific and documented consequence of deliberate choices. Edison's choice to run the fear campaign rather than acknowledge technical reality. Morgan's choice to withdraw rather than fund what could not be metered. The government's choice to seize the papers and return only a portion. Tesla died alone, with 4 cents, in a hotel room he could not fully afford. The man whose AC system powers every electrical device on Earth died, surrounded by the debts that the gap between his contributions and their rewards had accumulated across decades. The mirror his story holds is not a historical one. It is the mirror of a structural reality the present inhabits completely. A world organized around protecting established advantage rather than developing genuine possibility. The question the mirror asks is not about Edison or Morgan or the FBI. It is about the Wardenclyffe Tower inside your own life. The thing you know is possible, the thing the people with the power to fund it will not fund because there is no meter. What do you do with it? Write in the comments, the tower can still be built. Hit like now. Subscribe to Mindmasters Academy. Click the next video. It is on the screen right now. See you on the other side.